Okay, this is the honors review packet video for Unit 7, the right triangles unit. So this is part 6. I'm just going to do a couple of the problems. The thing that makes this section hard is not only do you have to identify what rule to use, but then some of them are a little tricky with solving. So let's start with number 40. I know I went over this in class, but for those of you who weren't here, it's a tricky one. So let's start all the way down at number 40. We know these two sides are the same, so this has to be 13. The easiest way to solve this is by noticing, hey, if these two sides are the same, that means these angles must be the same. And if it's a right triangle, it means that these have to be 45 degrees. Well, that means I have 45, 45, 90 special right triangles. So to get from a leg to a hypotenuse, I multiply by root 2. That means x plus 3 has a length of 13 root 2. So to get x by itself, I'm going to subtract 3 on both sides. And I get this. Now, a lot of people wanted to combine these. You can't. This is a 13 root 2, right? It's like 13x. I can't take away 3 and just normal 3 from a 13x or a 13 root 2. If it really bothers you leaving it like this, though, you can go in your calculator and type in 13 root 2 minus 3. Oopsies. 13 root 2 minus 3. That's the value of your answer. Okay, so the answer is 15.385 if you round to 3 decimal places. Okay, let's do 41. Here's a 30, 60, 90 triangle. I need to solve for my short, my medium, I have my long. My only option right now is to solve from the long for the short. My long is 10 root 3 over 3, and I have to divide by 2. I have a couple options. Dividing by 2 is the same as multiplying by its reciprocal, 1/2. And what I've been saying in class is when we're dividing, it's the same as putting something or multiplying it into the denominator. So 3 times 2, it's like down here, it's going to give me 6. Well, this is not simplified because I can take a 2 out of this and I can take a 2 out of this. So my short side has a value of 5 root 3 over 3. Oh, sorry, my short side is b. So b is this. To get from my short side to my medium side, I take my short side and I multiply by root 3. Notice I didn't multiply by root 3 over root 3. That's a value of 1. I have to actually multiply by this. And so if putting a 1 in the denominator helps you, you can do that. But this is going to be 5 root 3 times root 3. Well, root 3 times root 3 is just 3. So 5 times 3 is 15 over 3. So I end up with a length of 5. So my medium side has a length of 5. Okay. Let's do number 43 together. Okay. Okay, we need to solve for x and y. Well, we don't want to use this triangle first because it has 2 variables in it. So why don't I start over here? So I can solve for y first by using trig. So here's my opposite and my adjacent side. So I can say that tan of 50 equals y over 13. I need to multiply both sides by 13. And I get, make sure you close those parentheses, especially if you put the 13 at the end. I get 15.493. Well, now I need to solve for x. If I'm solving for x, here's my angle, here's my O, here's my A. So now I have tan 58 equals O over my adjacent side we just solved was 15.493. So if I want to get x by itself, I multiply this on both sides. And I get a length of 24.794. So there's x, there's y. So we're going to do exactly what we just did. I'm not going to solve these problems, but these are harder because we didn't tell you to solve for y, this thing in between, or like this is the first part. So if we have 11, we need to start by solving for this side somehow, right? Because once we've solved for this side, I can then solve for this. We're using the shared side. Same thing here. I'm going to use this and this to help me solve for this, and then from here I'm going to solve for this. I want you guys to do those by yourself. They're a little tricky, but you need to work through those. Okay, the only difference between these problems and the ones we've done before, it says solve the triangle. And what that really means is you need to solve for all of the missing pieces. So why don't we do 46 together? That means we need to solve for this side, we need to solve for this angle, and we need to solve for this angle. Let's do the side first. If we have two sides and we're solving for a third, we use the Pythagorean theorem. The longest side, the one opposite the hypotenuse, has to go on the side by itself. Okay. If I take 15 squared minus 7 squared, I get 176. If I take the square root of 176, let's see what happens. 176 is divisible by 4 twice. So I have root 4 times root 4 times root 11. That's kind of like my factor tree for that. Well, I have a pair of 4s, and I have a root 11 left over. So this is going to be, 4 root 11. Well, now I need to solve for my angles. The easiest way to do is to use trig, so I'm just going to do y first. I want to use the whole numbers if I can, so I'm going to use my adjacent side and my hypotenuse. You can use this, but these are easier in my opinion. Okay, so I'm going to use cosine of y equals a over h. To get y by itself, I have to use cosine inverse on both sides. And I get that the measure of y, which is the measure of angle B, is 62.182 degrees. Okay, now I have to solve for my last angle. The easiest thing to do if I want to solve for z is to notice that 90 plus y plus z equals 180. And if you subtract 90 from 180 and what you got from the measure of angle B, you'll be left with this, which is going to be 27.818 degrees. So I know it's a little colorful, but hopefully that helped you figure out what went where. This problem is very similar. I'll let you guys do this one by yourself. We're doing okay on time. Let me, what I'm going to do for these word problems, I'm not going to solve them for you. I just want to help you draw the pictures. Okay? There's a couple typos. So a repairman leans the top of an 8-foot ladder, 8-foot ladder, against the top of a stone wall. So here's my stone wall. Here's my ladder. The ladder is 8 feet tall. Okay. The base of the ladder is 5.5 feet from the wall. We need to solve for the height. So I want you to figure out how to solve that, but I want you to at least be able to check your picture with mine to make sure it's good. Number 49, a square tablecloth has a line of embroidered flowers along the diagonal. The tablecloth, the square tablecloth, is 48 inches on each side. How long is the embroidery line? Well, it said, even if you didn't know what embroidered meant, it just means like fancy stitching or fancy sewing. It told us already that the embroidered flowers are on the diagonal. So it's saying, if how long is the embroidery line, we're just asking for what's on the diagonal. Okay, so these are right because it's a square. I'll let you guys finish that by yourself. Number 50, a person is standing 40 feet from a flagpole. And can see the top of the flagpole by looking up at an angle of elevation of 35 degrees. Remember, they're 40 feet away. The person's eye level is 4 feet off the ground. What is the height of the flagpole to the nearest foot? So we're going to solve for this. But then at the end, make sure you add on the additional 4 feet that isn't a part of that right triangle. Okay, number 52 says, on a baseball diamond, each base, there's a baseball diamond, is 90 feet apart. I really should have called it a baseball square. How far does a catcher from home plate have to throw the ball to second base? Now, we really should have told you it was a square so that you know that this is a 90-degree angle, but I'm telling you that that's 90, and you need to solve for that value of x. You need to solve that by yourself. Here's the last word problem, and this one's the trickiest. A scoreboard is mounted on a wall, so the scoreboard's here at point P, and two students are looking up at it from different points on the floor. Student A is looking up at an angle of 45 degrees. Student B is looking up from an angle of 60 degrees. The students are standing 100 feet apart from each other. How far away is student B from the wall? So even though it's mounted here, this is my wall. We want to know how far apart this is. So we have a couple options. I'm just going to get you guys started for now. This has a length of 100 plus x. This big triangle here is a 45, 45, 90 triangle because of that 45. That means, and this are the same length. So this is 100 plus x. Another way to think about it is by recognizing that this is a 30, 60, 90 triangle. If this is x, right, the medium side of a 30, 60, 90 is going to be root 3 times x. Now I have two different things to represent this side, and I can say that 100 plus x is equal to root 3 times x. Now, this is a bit of a nasty algebra problem. I'm not expecting you to be able to do that on the test, but you should be able to at least set up an equation like that if it wasn't as nasty of a problem. So I need to get x by itself, and the easiest way to do that is to get both x's on the same side, because now I'm going to factor out an x. So I would take an x out of this, and I have a root 3 left. If I divide an x out of this, I have 1 left. Okay? Well, root 3 minus 1 has a length of 0.732. If I divide both sides by this to get x by itself, I get 136.612 feet. And typically I would make you round like the nearest foot for something like this, but there's the full answer. Since the bell's about to ring, guys, I'm not going to get through part 8. This is something I want you to think about beforehand, but I'll answer questions at the beginning of next class. But this should give you a good start for the test. And I hope you guys have a good weekend.